Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah. Performing the Umrah involves a few uh, things as a process. One is, when do you start it and where? The when and where and what, meaning what is it that you're supposed to do? The when is, you start the Umrah right after you do the miqat, right after, right at the miqat, and that is the entry point. Whenever you hear the miqat, think about a perimeter. The perimeter that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set as the borderline for a whole sacred area that Allah ta'ala had already designated as this is a sacred area. You can't cross into it except through some entry points. Depends on which direction are you coming from. And the Prophet ﷺ designated 5 different entry points that are all around the main meeting point, and that is the Masjid al-Haram and then the Kaaba. So this is why they say, if you were to think about a perimeter around the Kaaba, is actually the Masjid al-Haram. It creates like a borderline around the Kaaba. And you have Mecca creating a borderlines around the Masjid al-Haram. And then you have the larger sacred area all around Mecca. And then that larger sacred area has entry points. This is how you could imagine it geographically. And for those who are coming to Mecca via Jeddah, before landing into Jeddah, they will be, while still in the air, they will cross that entry point into the sacred area. So this is why you're supposed to wear the actual 2 pieces of cloth for men, and then you need to make the announcement prior to the miqat, which is about 15-20 minutes before you land into Jeddah airport. And from that point, you already entered into the state of ihram, and you also entered into the sacred area around that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designated. For those, and especially in our case now that we are going to start our Umrah from Medina, although we are going to land in Jeddah, but we are going to take the bus all the way to Medina. So we are not going to have our ihram on in the airplane. Why? Because we are not going directly to Mecca, although we're going to go past Mecca, but it's all about when you start the act of worship and you enter into the state of ihram, meaning the state of having to perform the actual rituals of the Umrah. We're not going to do it until we come back from Medina, meaning that our entry point is not from Jeddah. Our entry point is going to be from Medina, insha'Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in Medina, prior to starting the day of our trip back from Medina into Mecca, we will do a full ghusl in the hotel. And then for men, of course, you strip from every piece of clothing, and you will be wearing only those 2 pieces of cloth called also ihram. You wrap one around your waist, that's called izar, and one over your shoulder, that's called rida. And then if you wanted to secure actually the one, because if you don't know, if it keeps falling, you can secure it with a belt, or you could wear a fanny pack where you put your passport, whatever, all of your belongings in it. You could do that as well to secure the izar, and that is the piece of cloth around your waist. You want to secure it that way, you can. Upon arriving to Abiyar Ali is where the bus is going to stop, which is about 45 minutes from the hotel, still in the area of Medina, but that would be the entry point into the sacred space Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designated for us as the borderline. For the people of Medina, it is the area called Abiyar Ali. And usually there is mashallah, beautiful big masjid in there where you go in and pray 2 rak'ahs. And you don't pray 2 rak'ahs for the ihram either. That's a misconception. A lot of people, what the ghusl is recommended, praying 2 rak'ahs for the actual wearing the ihram. There is nothing recorded, or rather authentically recorded, about that. But rather, when you go to Abiyar Ali, the entry point for the people of Medina, you go into that masjid, you pray 2 rak'ahs, and if there is a prayer, depends on what time you arrive. If it is dhuhr, you pray dhuhr in there, and then you continue. The minute you are in there, you make your announcement to enter into the space of ihram, meaning the beginning of you performing your umrah, right there in Abiyar Ali. And then you go back into the bus, and from the minute you say labbaik Allahumma, you face the qibla, and you say labbaik Allahumma umrah, and you say it. And for those of you who don't know the expression, make sure you make an effort in memorizing this expression. Labbaika, it's not labayka, it's not labayka. The emphasis on the b sound, and stress it hard, and you see labbayka. Stress on the b sound, and it's easy for the Arabic speaking people, but for those who don't speak Arabic, they usually just it's a very light sound for them as on the B sound, but rather B, and stress it hard and say labbayka, labbayka, Allahumma umrah. It's easy. And of course, that umrah, you also announce who are you performing the umrah for yourself, for somebody else. You announce who that someone else is, or if it is for you, you say anni, and on my behalf. Oh, labbaik Allahumma umrah, oh Allah, for me, for my brother, for my sister, for my mom, for my dad. You make that announcement. The minute you do that, you are already, just like when you say Allahu Akbar, you are already in salah. Same thing. The minute you say labbaik Allahumma umrah, you are already in a state of ihram, in a state of worship, and you started the act of worship. So what is it that you do from that point? You start chanting labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. And you can start, you can alternate also. You go from labbaik Allahumma labbaik to subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu akbar, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala alihi. The constant forms of remembrance and dhikr. No idle talk, no talking of any sort that is unnecessary. That's because you are already, just keep in mind, although it is about 5-hour drive in the bus, it is no reason for you to lose sight of the fact that you are already in the actual state of ihram, meaning you are already inside that space where you're supposed to be performing your umrah, insha'Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep that in mind. By the time we arrive to Mecca, insha'Allah, if we have time to go and check into the hotel, then, and we have the time to go and shower, we can it is highly recommended by upon arriving to Mecca to do another ghusl, and that is the ghusl for a way of greeting and honoring the sacred balad of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the home of the Rasulullah, the home of al-Masjid al-Haram, the home of the Kaaba. One of the forms of that signifies you wanting to purify not only your body but also your soul by doing a full body ghusl upon arriving to your hotel in Mecca. And before you start your Umrah, it is highly recommended. If you don't get to do that, it is also okay. It's not mandatory, but it is highly recommended. And when you do that, you don't use any soaps, any shampoos, or anything that has a fragrance. Rather, just water, and then do your ghusl for your... And when you hear the word ghusl is full body washing, and it starts off, for those of you, just a quick fresh reminder, is you do the actual regular wudu, and then you move on. This is all happens in the shower. You do regular wudu that you would do for the prayer, and then you start by washing your head from the neck up, all of it, especially your ears and your hair and all, and the hair and your beard, and then think about splitting your body to two sides. The right side, start with it all the way down, and then the left side all the way down, and then wash your feet last, and that's your ghusl, done with. So you do the ghusl, put your ihram back on, the two pieces of cloth back on, and you go into the masjid to perform Umrah, which we will be doing together, inshallah ta'ala, as a group. Upon entering into the masjid, of course, the same dua you do when you go into the masjid is say Bismillah, Allahumma aftah li abwaba rahmatik. You make the dua and you enter with your right foot and you walk in. Now, as soon as we go in, we are going to take a pause. As soon as we find an empty space and a quiet area around the Kaaba, not close to the Kaaba, depends on whether we have the ability to go on the first floor right next to the Kaaba, we could. But we will take a moment. As soon as you see the Kaaba, as we will be talking about all of that, this is one of the most beautiful experiences. And especially for those who have never seen the Kaaba before. This is going to hit you so hard and it is so overwhelming, probably your feet won't hold you. Okay, allow those emotions to come out. Allow them. This is your moment with Allah. And it is heavy. It's one thing to think about the Kaaba and talk about the Kaaba, but a whole different experience when you are right there in front of the Kaaba. It has such a heavy and strong and powerful divine impact on the hearts when you are right there. First time I saw the Kaaba, I sat down literally and I didn't know. I could not stand for 40 minutes. And the brother, alhamdulillah, the first time I went to Hajj, and the brother was with me, he says, I knew it, and I just wanted to prepare you, but it's okay. He says, it's okay. Take the time, all the time you need. I literally sat down. Alhamdulillah. It is incredibly very, very, very heavy. But allow yourself to go through your emotions once you see the Kaaba. It's a perfect timing also to make dua. Perfect timing to make dua. Make dua and go at a lengthy dua. Allow your heart to literally spill everything you have. This is your moment with Allah. And this is your moment at the most sacred place and the most sacred channel that will take your supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the world of the divine. This is your moment. Take your time, and we will take our time, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to start, inshallah ta'ala, to do our dua, inshallah, as soon as we see the Kaaba. Once we're done with that, we are going to make our way to where there is a green light. And that green light is where usually it indicates where the black stone is, al-Hajar al-Aswad. And that's usually the place where you begin your laps around the Kaaba, the tawaf. It starts from the green light and it ends at the green light. So you start there. The minute you go all the way around back to the green light, that counts as one lap, as one shawt, they call it. So you're supposed to do 7 of these. Now, the first 3, just so you can understand the details of that, the first 3 laps around, whenever you get to there is 4 different corners for the Kaaba. You start from the black stone and you go to the next corner and the following corner, and then the third one is going to be the Yemeni corner called. And then from the Yemeni corner to the black stone, in there, you walk, and then you keep saying, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Keep repeating this dua. Keep repeating it the whole time. From the Yemeni corner, which is the one prior to the black stone, prior to you getting to the green light that indicates where the black stone is. right? So you do ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. However, when you first start